إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله هو الله أكبر ولله الحمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم.
Mashallah, Hafiz is reciting at the Alfandale Masjid known as Masjidul Raheem. Masjidul Raheem. We're going to hand over to Maulana Wasif for the start of the Jumuah proceedings, inshallah. And as I said, you have any information with regards to programs in and around Cape Town, please let us know on 021 4423500. We'll start off with the English khutbah, and thereafter we'll continue with that program, inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم وبعد. اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم وجعلنا مما يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Respected elders, beloved brothers and sisters, to the listeners of the Voice of the Cape, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, acknowledging that all good in this world is because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send the choice, peace and blessings upon our master and leader Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the one who was sent to us, to mankind, to all of mankind as a mercy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower him with all the choices, peace and blessings upon his family and friends and upon all those who follow his way until the day of Qiyamah. Ameen. Today, in the Arabian Peninsula, they are experiencing the second day of pelting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فإذا أفضتم من عرفات, when you're leaving from the plains of Arafah, that mawqif, that place whereby we have acknowledged where we come from, we have acknowledged where we are, where we are going. We are in tune with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are in tune the natural way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us. slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, standing and realize that we have no power, that we have nothing except that whatever we have, all the blessings that we have, any power that we have comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on the plains of Arafah, the tears fall. Sincere tears. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except from our Hujjaj, their du'as. Allahumma khfir lil Hujjaj, waliyan istaghfara lahum al Hujjaj. May Allah forgive the Hujjaj, for whomever the Hujjaj has sought forgiveness for. But what happens after that? فَإِذَا فَضْتُمْ عَرَفَاتٍ, when you pour out of Arafah, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ عِنْدَ الْمَشْعَرِ الْحَرَامِ. Now, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where? By Mash'ar al-Haram. Mash'ar al-Haram is the lands of Muzdalifah. That is called Muzdalifah. And they would wait there, or they would have waited there up until half of the night or up till Fajr. And then they are going to do something that is symbolic in plains of Mina. Jamaratul Aqaba. And what are they doing by Jamaratul Aqaba? They are pelting Jamaratul Aqaba, this building, they are pelting that with 7 stones. Nothing in Islam is just simplistic. Everything goes back to an asl. Everything goes back to the root which connects us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Despite what the history might say, as to why the pelting, as to why 7 stones, bringing life to the actions of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, one man who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said he was an ummah. He himself was an entire nation because of the amount of ikhlas that he had in himself, because of the love that he had for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. More importantly, for the love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had for him. Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, Khalilullah, says Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Inna Allah takhadi khalilan. Allah has taken me as a khalil, a very close friend. Kama takhada Ibrahim khalila. Like how he's taken Ibrahim alayhi salam as a friend. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us with Nabi Ibrahim and all the prophets on the day of Qiyamah with our Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So what Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam did on the plains of Arafah is a lesson that is for one and all. It is a lesson for those who stood on Arafah to remember through the rest of their life. It is for those who intend to go on Hajj. May Allah make us of them. Ameen. And they will stand on the plains of Mina and they will pelt Jamaratul Aqaba. It is a lesson that they will take for the rest. It will be a lesson that we'll have to take for the rest of our lives. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loved that action so much that it is now part of the rituals. It is part of the rituals of Hajj. Says Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Khudhu anni manasikakum." Take from me your manasik. Take from me all rituals. So what is this rituals all about? Pelting the jamarat. Why is this so significant? Because the significance of this in Hajj, you find that once they're done with Jamratul Aqaba, now they go and they perform their tawaf al-ifada and they make the sa'i and they shave. Now you think that Hajj is over. But instead of going back to their hotels, they have to go back to Mina. Why are they going back to Mina? They have to spend the whole night there, making adhkar, making salawat, making istighfar. Why? And what are they waiting for? Waiting for the next day. Come zawal, istiwa. After that, they're going to go pelt again. Another 7 stones. Not just a big building, Aqaba. They're going to pelt all 3 of these buildings, all 3 of the jamarat. That is not enough. You think Hajj is over. What are we going to do now? Go back to spend the night again by Mina. We're going to be waiting there. And why are you waiting there? For the next day. Because they're going to pelt again. And there's an option to pelt again. All of these pelting the jamarat. Millions and millions of stone being pelted in days. What is the symbolic gesture all about? And how can it affect our lives? How can it ensure our success in this world? So understanding what the symbolic gesture is all about, this is what a Muslim should be doing every single day of his life. There is symbolic stones that he should be pelting. Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, he pelted the shaitan when the shaitan came to him in whatever form. Whether it was in a form of an old man, telling him, how can you slaughter this child? What is wrong with you? This is, this is wrong. It's barbaric. How can a father slaughter his son? And look how beautiful your son is. A Nabi. And you are going to slaughter him? Nabi Ibrahim's response was not to ponder, not to think, but to get Shaitan out of the way. Shaitan was irritating him. And he didn't want to just argue with Shaitan. He did whatever he could. He threw Shaitan with stones. And what he did with his inside, he hated Shaitan. He fought Shaitan with everything he had. Shaitan tries again and he does the same thing. It took 7 stones to get Shaitan away. The third time, Shaitan realized, there's nothing I can do with this. This is Khalilullah. I will be humiliated and disgraced because of actions for all of time. And that is what happens. The days of pelting Shayateen, he's humiliated. The big Shaitan and all of those who follow him, humiliated and disgraced. All because of the action of this one man. And also who brought it to life, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I felt it before to discuss one of the hikam of Ibn Ata'illah, which I do quite often, but one I never discussed in detail as yet. This is the hikam, the 35th wisdom, where he says that aslu kullu ma'siyat, the origin of every single disobedience, the origin of every single sin, every single action that of disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter how small or no matter how big, every single sin, every single time we are unmindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and every time our desires get the best of us, every single time it happens, millions and millions of times a day, the origin of all of that, ar-rida ani nafs, is to please what is known as the nafs. That's what it is all about. Pleasing the nafs. Every time I sin, every time we forget about Allah, every time our desires get the best of us, all around the world, it happens millions of times a day. Origin and the reason for every single sin is pleasing nafs. And every time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is remembered, the desires is overpowered. Every time we do a good deed, no matter how small, no matter how big, it is for one reason and one reason alone. That is going against the nafs. Going against the nafs, and translated now as the desires. Discussing this or expounding on this will be the topic of my talk. A symbolic gesture, explaining that symbolic gesture of pelting the jamarat. So again, a gist, what is this all about? The gist is simple. Every time a sin is committed, it's because we're pleasing the nafs. And every time we please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every time we do a good deed, it's because of going against the nafs. So let's ask ourselves, what is this nafs that is discussed here and there? What is this all about? There are various reasons or various explanations, definitions according to various groups. The nafs can refer to the actual ruh. You can say fadat and nafs. The nafs went out, meaning the person died. His ruh transcended to the next world. If you sit in a fiqh class, they speak about ma nafsa laha. Nafs means blood. Certain things are not najis. Doesn't actually have blood that is flowing. Sometimes you can say ra'aytun al-malik nafsu. I saw the king nafsa himself, and it means the essence of something. But it also means something else, and this you won't find in the dictionary. This is not in any dictionary, but it's found in the Quran. It is the carnal desires. It is this place within ourselves whereby we have certain inclinations, the desire to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are various types of nafs, but we're speaking about one today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, hikayatan an Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, capturing the speech of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. In some scholars, it might be the preponderant view that this is the words of Zulaykha. وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي, I am not declaring my nafs as free of sin. It is not innocent. وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي, and this is something we should repeat daily. Say this to yourself. وَلَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي, I don't declare my nafs as innocent. Inna nafsa, indeed the nafs. If this is Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, it is wahi. If this is the speech of Sulaykha, then it is after he repented. Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam goes to prison and she repents. And she learns about the deen, aqeedah settles in the heart. And she said, Inna nafsa la ammaratun bisu. That the nafs, whatever the nafs is speaking about, the carnal desires, what is it doing? La ammaratun. The word ammara is on the scale of fa'al. It means to do something intensely and repetitively. The nafs is constantly commanding bisu, with evil. That's what this nafs is doing. Inna nafsa la ammaratun bisu. And if this is the speech of Zulaykha, then what a better person to declare this? Because we know what he did to Nabi Yusuf. Out of following desires, Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam had to be thrown, disgraced, humiliated in the streets of Misr, in Egypt, and be thrown into prison because of her following her nafs. And if this is her, then islah, tawbah is made. Inna nafsa la ammatun bisu. Now she knows that this nafs, it only commands evil, illa ma rahima rabbi, except from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only time we can be freed of the nafs is not because of ourselves, it's because of a gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this meaning, this definition is not found in a dictionary. The nafs here refers to the inclination in the heart that wants to sin. It wants to look at that which is haram. It wants to listen to that which is haram. The tongue wants to say that which is haram. The hands constantly want to react with that which is haram. That's intrinsic in the nature of man. So now we understand what the meaning of nafs is. So the next question we want to ask ourselves is, where does this come from? Where's the asl of this? Does this have any bearing in the Quran? Despite the verse I just quoted now, this reiterated in the Quran. And then we want to ask ourselves, what is the reason then? If this is true, that every sin comes back to nafs, if this is in fact true, then what's the purpose of that? What's the reason for this being the purpose of every sin? And the third question we want to respond to today, how do we free ourselves then? How we free ourselves from this carnal desire, this instinct that is constantly commanding us, bisu, with evil. The answer to the first question is the appearing for this in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah An-Nisa, verse 49, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Alam tara ila alladhina yuzakuna anfusahum. Do you not see those people that purify themselves? This, according to some mufassirun, is the Yahud brought their children to the Prophet, young children, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he asked the Prophet, does these children have any sin? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, no, because they are not mukallaf. Then they respond to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are like that children, because we make tawbah in the morning for what we did at night, and at night what we did in the day. So we are like this children. You can't blame us anymore. We have no sin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds, Alam tara ila alladhina yuzakkuna anfusahum. Do you see those people that has just purified themselves, declaring their own as innocent? They have no sin. Balillahu yuzakki man yasha. Allah says no. That is incorrect. Bal, harf of intiqal. On the contrary, no. Understand that Allah is the only one. He is the only one who can purify the hearts. Mayasha wala yudlimuna fatiha, and nobody will be wronged. Nobody will be wronged. You can make the mujahada, you can strive to purify the nafs for a certain action. It is through the grace of Allah that He grants that fit to end in a result. A more clear statement from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, La tuzakku anfusakum. Do not purify yourselves. Do not think your nafs. Do not think that inequality that we have given to that carnal desires. فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not purify yourselves. هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. It is Allah who is more knowledgeable of those who have taqwa. And this is a sickness we find that we have today. Listen to the hadith of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which will explain this. I'm just going to quote a part of this. Hadith is slightly weak for those who study the science of hadith, but it is strong enough to quote because we have already quoted evidence for this. It's a strong hadith, but not as strong as hadith could be. Utbah ibn Abi Hakim al-Hamdani is quoted in this. Shuhan muta'. When you see somebody that he's stinginess of his own self, he wants to obey himself, he wants to give what he wants all the time, he wants what he wants, and that is right. I feel this, and therefore it is right. Wahawan muttaba, and he follows his desires. Wa dunya mu'atharatan, and the dunya is preferred over the akhirah. And this is the part of the hadith I want to look at. Wa i'jaba kulli dhi ra'yin bi ra'yihi, and everybody is amazed with their own decision. Everybody is amazed with their own opinion. I am right because I feel I'm right. I am right because I researched this. And now I am willing to argue my decision and everyone else is incorrect. This particular understanding is a sickness that is flowing in our communities. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. How can we trust ourselves? How can we trust ourselves knowing that we have this weakness within ourselves? We cannot. Youngsters, you feel certain things. I feel my father is wrong. I feel my mother is wrong. I feel it is time for me to take the next step in getting married. I feel it is time for me to move out. I feel it is time for me to buy a car. I feel I should study this. I feel I should study that. Feel as you want. Understand that that feeling is emanating from what is called the nafs. It is a powerful emotion. It drives man to Jahannam. And if you want to understand this, then you'll find that if you obey most akthar an-nas, yudillu an sabilillah, they will lead you astray. Look at the media. Look at Facebook. Look at TikTok. Look at all the media platforms you want. You'll find people obeying and being amazed with their own opinion. And it is a sign that they are going the wrong direction. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Ameen. Remember the words of Yusuf or Zulayha. Both opinions are correct. وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي, I do not declare my nafs as innocent. إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِسُوءٍ, this nafs is always commanding with disobedience. إِلَّا مَا رَحْمَ رَبِّي, except from the mercy of Allah. Allah shower His mercy upon us. Ameen. So to understand, so we know there is an asl for this in the Quran. There's an origin, what we have stated in the Quran. There's an origin for this in the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that every single sin we do comes from the nafs. And this is what the pelting is all about. Pelting shayateen is a symbolic gesture for what Muslims do every single day of their life. What they're supposed to be doing every single day of their life. In whatever way it might come. It might come in an image on the phone. And that is probably one of the greatest tests we're facing today. It might come in a WhatsApp message from a source that is actually from shaitan, disguised in whatever we might think it is. It might come from something we might want to hear, something we want to watch. Then we pelt that jamarat. We pelt that shaitan, because this is what Hajj is all about. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not make one of them. But they are Muslims that will pass away and will never stand on the plain of Arafah. May Allah not make us of those. Ameen. But if we are those people, don't despair. Because innamal a'malu bin niyat, the intention of Arafah was always there. Since the day we heard about Arafah, that is where we want to be. And Muhammad says that you will be rewarded for your actions. Imagine standing on the day of Qiyamah and being rewarded for Hajj, being rewarded for Arafah. But we have to be sincere. Every time that shaitan appears or we hear shaitan, we need to belt that. And that comes in the form of shaitan calling us to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second question we want to ask, why is this so? What is the reason for a nafs, the desire, being the origin of every single sin? To understand this, and my time is obviously quickly running up, 3 minutes left. How does this happen? We need to understand something called the suluk and there's something called nafs. Suluk and nafs. Suluk is a person's action. If you look at a person's life, you'll find that he did this, he did that, and you can see what he has done. But that is known as the suluk, actions of people. And then there's something called the nafs, which we just described now. What is that all about? Every time we want to do something, there's a battle that happens inside of us. The battle is, do I make fajr now or do I make it late? Do I make fajr at all or don't I make fajr? Do I lower my gaze or do I not lower my gaze? So here something, image pops up and the shaitan presents itself. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is what you need to look at. And this thing is inside of us. It starts flaring. This is the nafs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created within us. So it starts flaring. It starts burning desire. Just like Zulaykha had to seduce Prophet na'udhu billah. And it burns. And it says, look at me. And knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know that this is haram. Now there's a battle that ensues. If we obey the nafs, then we have disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we obey our knowledge and Allah, then we have obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a little battle that happens every day of our life. Never mind 7 times at one jamarat. It happens millions of times a day. And this is what constantly need to train our nafs. It is not just always the knowledge that we need the proper ruh and heart to follow through that knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Ameen. So now we come to the last section, and I just skipped that very quickly because my time is up. How do we free ourselves? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارٌ بِسُوءٍ. Understand firstly, when you need to do something right, or you need to stay away from that which is haram, which is worse. That is the hardest thing you ever need to do. The sign of this ummah being success is not the masajid being full. The masjid can be full to capacity. The sign of this ummah being a success is the ability to stay away from haram. When we go to the bars and the shabeens in town, and we go to all these wrong places where females and males are mixing, go to the homes. When you start seeing that is less, that is a sign that the community is unlock. So you ask yourself, bring to the masjid that is good, but tell them to stay away from haram. This is the real test. It is not even standing on the plains of Arafah. May Allah forbid and protect the hujjaj that will return and they might not be accepted. Because the symbolic gesture wasn't sincere. It wasn't from their heart. May Allah protect us. So the way we come away from this is first of all to realize that if we have an inclination to do good, it's tahajjud. We know it's good to stand up for tahajjud, or good to perform salah on time. It's good to allow gaze. Number one, realize that feeling from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not because of us. If we are performing salah, this is a gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. A female was a slave in the time of the Abbasi regime. I might be mistaken with that, but it's a story. We need to get this the story from this and the lesson. When the master found her, she was making a dua that, oh Allah, I'm asking you because of your love for me. He rectified her saying, you cannot ask Allah because of your love for me. And she rectified him. If it wasn't for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love for me, I would have not stand up for tahajjud. So ask yourself, does Allah love you? And you cannot say no, because what are you doing here? Who brought you here? Who gave you iman? And why did he give you iman? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us. And we can say, well, Allah loves us. This is why He's giving us this deen. This is why He's showing us what is Jannah. If He did not love us, He would not have tested us. He would not have showed us what is Jannah. May Allah make us return that love. Hal jaza'ul ihsan illa ihsan. So once we understand that if we have an inclination to good and we follow through, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make shukr to Allah. And if you show shukr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give more. You'll find yourself doing more tahajjud, more Quran, wanting to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what better on the plains of Arafah? Secondly, if you find your nafs inclining towards evil, that is, understand that this is what the test is all about. If you didn't have a test, you would have been an angel. If you didn't have a test, you would not have been an angel. So many men, young men, elderly men tell me, look, Sheikh, I can't lower my gaze, it's too beautiful. That's the whole point. The whole point is for that to be beautiful. You don't have a special nafs. We're not tested specially. That inclination is there. It's in the heart of every single man. What we need to do is fight that nafs, pull back that nafs. This is why the Prophet ﷺ says, following me at these times now is going to be like keeping on an ember. Who can keep that ember? Who is ready to keep that ember of Muhammad ﷺ? He's handing that ember to you. We grab it with our hands and we never let go. And we bite on that with the molars, with our back molars, until the day we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This constant fight result in us winning the battle of shaitan. It will win us in the symbolic pelting we are supposed to be doing every day when shaitan is presenting himself to us. Understand, in conclusion, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has created our desires. He has created our desires to test us. Realize that we are weak. And the only najat, the only way we are going to be saved is to keep onto the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by constantly fighting shaitan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open up our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cleanse our hearts. We ask you, Rabb, and realize that we are weak. You have created us weak, but you have created us weak for a reason. When we realize our weakness, we realize that we only have one place to turn to. We have only you to turn to. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us, make our life filled with good actions. And may we stand on the lanes of Arafah. May we be pelting the Jamratul Aqaba and all the other Jamarat in a Manasikul Hajj. And if not that, at least on Umrah. Wa jazakumullah khair wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, voice of Maulana Wasif, the first of the guest speakers here at Masjidul Raheem in Alfindale. We're going to continue with this program, inshallah. And I have an announcement with regards to the head of our masjid and the program they'll be having in the month of August, and you can get involved with it, inshallah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم هذه دعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت سيدنا محمد وسيلة والفضيلة والشرف والدرجة العالية الرفيعة وابعث مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, coming to you live 91.3 from Zero from the Elfindale region. Masjidul Raheem is the name of the masjid. There's also a daycare and a creche that you may utilize if it be, and if you are in the area, please come and visit them, inshallah. We had Mona Wasif Tafris as one of the speakers here today, and Hafidh Ra'iz recited from the Holy Quran. Amin Ya Rabbil Alameen. We take this opportunity to thank each and everyone for contributing to this live Jumu'ah broadcast. May Allah bless you and guide you and protect you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your business to go from strength to strength. Amin Ya Rabbil Alameen. We take this opportunity also to thank each and everyone for contributing towards all programs throughout the last few days, building up to the day of Eid, those who contributed to institutions, organizations that have made food, those who contributed to organizations and institutions and individuals that had Qurban programs, those who made Qurban, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all your intentions. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. To all those who have family members and friends that will be returning from Hajj, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them a Hajj Maqbool and Mabroor. Amin Ya Rabbal Alameen. I do know that our first Hujjaj will be returning on Sunday, inshallah. Please keep us informed as to when Hujjaj will be returning from your side, inshallah, so we can spread the message and learn and hear from the Hujjaj and their stories and experiences, and possibly make intent and be encouraged by their experience. Amin Ya Rabbal Alameen. So Nurul Islam Masjid in Heathfield, they're having a Tikka Bride Day on Saturday, the 5th of August from 12 until 4. And you can contact the chairperson on 071 868 6531. I'll share that details for you again, inshallah.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله الحمد لله حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك ولعظيم سلطانك. سبحانك اللهم لا أحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الصفي وخليله خير نبي أرسله أرسله الله إلى العالم كل بشر ونذيرا صلى الله عليه وسلم صلاة وسلام دائمين متتابعين إلى يوم الدين. فأوصيكم ونفسي المذنبة بتقوى الله عز وجل. بعد أيها الناس اتقوا الله وأطيعوا، فاتقوا الله وأطيعوا، وانتبهوا لقول الله سبحانه وتعالى إذ قال أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فإذا أفاقتم من عرفات فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام. وقال سبحانه وتعالى فاتقوا الله ما استطعتم واسمعوا وأطيعوا وأنفقوا خيرا لأنفسكم ومن يوق شح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. وانتبهوا لقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذ قال إذا رأيت شحا مطاع وهوى متبع ودنيا مؤثرة وإعجاب كل ذي رأي برأيه فعليك بخاصة نفسك. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسوله نبينا الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على أشرف الأكرم سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم على كل صحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام الله كان عليكم رقيبا. وقال مخبرا وآمرا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على عبدك ورسولك كلما ذكره الذاكرون وكلما غفل عن ذكر الغافلون وصل على محمد كما تحب وترضى وصل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. وارض اللهم على الخلفاء الراشدين المهديين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن الصحابة أجمعين وتابعيهم وتابعيهم وعلى كل من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين. اللهم انصر عبادك الموحدين في فلسطين وفي كل مكان. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. عباد الله اتقوا الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا يذكركم واشكروا ولا تكفرون. أقيموا الصلاة.
That's the end of the khutbahs here at Masjidul Raheem in Elfindale, and we'll continue with the salah. Inshallah, we will conclude the whole program here for Jumu'ah and head back to the studio.
أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استوفوا فوق ما اعتدلوا. الله أكبر. وجهت وجه فطر السماوات حنيفا مسلما ومشركين الصلاة ونسكي ومحيي وجل. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير أبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا كثير الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا ولك الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.